It is always game day in Cleveland. He is Daryl Ruiter. I'm Andy Baskin. I'm in a closet somewhere. I have no idea. I'm in a coach's closet at local school. He is Daryl Ruiter. He's sitting in the Ruiterland Studios, or well, we need to come up with a name for your area that you did. It's not really your office.
It's the green room.
Yeah, it needs like
no, that's what it is. It is the green room. That is the name.
Because the walls are painted green?
No. Because in the business, where do you have the guests sit and wait to come on the air? The green room.
Yeah, that's the waiting area. Daryl, that's the waiting area before you come on the air. You're on the air.
Don't rain on my bit. It is the green room. It's been the green room since the day I moved into this house and painted the walls angry Hulk green. And then
I think we can do better. I think it should be like
I like the green room.
How about Ryder Worldwide Productions? 2 Letterman?
No. Yeah, no. We can't do anything that I need to copyright, because legally I'm not allowed to copyright anything as long as I work for Odyssey. So,
all right. Beep, beep, beep. Who's having more fun than we are right now? All right, so let's get into some of the offseason stuff with the Browns, and let's have a little bit of fun. The coaching staff seems to be settled. Is it settled completely, Daryl? You tell me.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, they got the 3 big ones, right? Ken Dorsey's the new offensive coordinator. Deuce Staley's the new running backs coach. And Tommy Reese is your new tight ends coach. So those are, at least from my perspective, those are the big moves. Now, they're not official yet, but, confirmed that those are the moves. And, we'll wait for an official announcement from the Browns. I imagine we'll have media availabilities with all these new people. They're the new collaborators, if you will, with Kevin Stefanski on whatever they plan to do with the offensive playbook this offseason to tweak it and make it more Deshaun Watson. If I guess that's the thing, right? That's what they're going to be doing this offseason, is making things more Deshaun Watson. So, those are the big ones, at least from where I sit. The biggest changes. Let's not forget, though, that they did have the special teams coordinator change. I think that actually happened in February last year. Or
it happened late.
Yeah, it was late in the process. Like, it looked like Prefer was going to come back. And then all of a sudden, lo and behold, the Browns find out that Bubba Ventrone might be available. And voila, they went ahead and ended up firing
Mike Prefer,
and then hiring Bubba Ventrone. They also,
by the way, which is extremely awkward in the coaching world, because everyone's always scrambling to get new jobs when a coach gets fired or not. And so if you're sitting there in February without a job, you're probably in trouble.
Right. And here's the other thing too, is let's not forget Ben Bloom. We'll see if he actually remains with the team.
Mm-hmm.
But there is, a change with the defensive line coach. And I think this was brilliant. They brought in Jacques Cesaire from the Houston Texans, who basically kicked their ass in the wild card game. Right. Let's be honest about it. So I think that's, a brilliant hire by Kevin Stefanski, as well as Jim Schwartz there to, tweak some things on the defensive side of the ball, on the defensive line, and how they want to coach that up and that. But I do think Bloom did a nice job last year with the defensive front, especially with all the new pieces that they brought in last offseason. So, so we're at 4 coaching changes made by the Browns. And, like I said, I'm anticipating official announcements coming here in the next couple of days. And then we'll probably have an opportunity to either go out to Berea and visit with these folks or, talk to them over Zoom.
All right. So here's my big burning question on this, Daryl, that, it's not that I'm anti Ken Dorsey at all, because I'm not. I'm looking forward to seeing what he's saying. I liked him when he was a player. I liked him especially in college. And then, he seems like a good guy. But I'm trying to figure out what makes Ken Dorsey better than Alex Van Pelt.
Well, I think that when you look at the change, I think it's multifaceted why they've done this, right? And we talked a little bit about it. Alex was here for 4 years, right?
Right.
And he wasn't calling plays. And I feel like that relationship professionally went as far as it was going to go, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely makes sense.
And everyone, and when you say something like that, everyone wants to attach a negative connotation to that. And I get it. Like, I get it. Because anytime you make a change or you fire someone, right, there is an inherent negative connotation that comes with that. But I think that Kevin Stefanski looked at the situation, was like, hey, you know, we've taken this as far as we can take it, right? We pulled back the curtain on the offense last year, peeled it back, rebuilt some things. And we got mixed results in the time that Deshaun was on the field. We got to see moments of brilliance. I mean, the Cincinnati game, it was sloppy weather, so we didn't get to really see Air Watson take effect there. And then, of course, Deshaun got hurt not once, but twice. And ultimately, his season came to an end. And so now you bring in a guy like Ken Dorsey, and he's just yet another new assistant coach that has Browns ties, right? I mean, he's a former quarterback, was here from 2006 to 2008, did not play in a game until the 2008 season. He ended up starting 3 games that year. Lost all 3 games. That was the year that the Browns ended up losing. They I believe finished 4-12 coming off the 10-6 season. And, you know, Romeo Crennel and Phil Savage had just gotten contract extensions from former owner Randy Lerner. Everyone was feeling great. And then, of course, Braylon Edwards, being the knucklehead he was as a player, decided to run around training camp without shoes on, and he got stepped on. And, well, kids will be kids. And that just, you know, and then, of course, they went to New York in the preseason to play the Giants, who beat the living crap out of them. And half the team got hurt in that game. And it spiraled. The injuries that year spiraled. And the season basically ended, the highlight of the year, which everyone will remember, the Phil Savage, bleep you, go root for Buffalo email. And I don't know if I ever
Text message, right? Text message.
The email. I don't know if I ever told this story on the podcast, but I spoke to Terry Pluto about it, and I got his permission to tell this story because it involves him. So the Browns are playing at Buffalo. I'm in the press box in the row in front of both Terry Pluto and Phil Savage.
Okay.
And both men are, you know, deeply rooted in their faith, and, you know,
Right.
certainly, you know, respect and understand that. So
Right.
throughout much of the game, I could overhear them, you know, exchanging faith-based thoughts and, you know,
the gospel a little bit.
You know, Bible verses that you know, have meaning in their lives and things like that. And it was great. I mean, I felt like I was in church for 4 hours. I was in one of the cathedrals of football at what they now call Highmark Stadium in Buffalo. And then, you know, I had 2 of the nicest human beings that you will ever meet on this earth in, you know, Phil Savage and Terry Pluto sitting behind me. And it's ironic that night, after, you know, all of that, and the Browns ended up losing the game, then the story breaks that a fan received an email from Phil Savage after the game because the fan was pissed that the Browns lost, and it was a bleep you, go root for Buffalo. And I'm like, wait a minute, is this the gospel according to Phil?
That's funny. That's really funny.
But, you know, and it was so odd. And I remember the press conference in Berea too, because Phil had to come down and do a mea culpa press conference. And I had, you know, I know Phil, it was just so out of character for him, because
really out of character.
I mean, I agree. He's just one of the most genuine, down to earth, nice men in the sport of football that not even just the sport of football, just on this planet, that you're ever going to meet. Same with Terry Pluto. They're just the salt of the earth. They're just wonderful human beings. They're easy to talk to. I had a great time in Canton this past August when Joe went into the Hall of Fame. I had an opportunity to catch up with Phil Savage. He gave me a big hug when he saw me in that, and just such a great guy. But when I think of the 2008 season, I don't think of Ken Dorsey starting 3 games for the Cleveland Browns. I think of that email that, you know, and I've been there. Dude, you know how many times I've given someone the finger that I've regretted it?
Hey, you're just telling them they're number one, our listeners and our viewers right now on It's Always Game Day in Cleveland. Hey, speaking of that, we'll come back in a minute. We've got a lot more to talk about when it comes to the playoffs, and how about a stadium story that we can get into, and maybe some behind the scenes stuff I've got from Baskin and Phelps. So it's always game day in Cleveland. He's Daryl Ruiter. I'm Andy Baskin. It is always game day in Cleveland. Daryl, any interesting things we need to talk about right here in the beginning of the second segment?
Yeah, I guess I have to wish everyone a happy anniversary for mobile
Yeah.
sports betting, which became
Yeah.
legal in the state of Ohio in January of 2023. Checking my calendar right now, it is now January of 2024, and it's almost over. But with that in mind, BetQL is here to help you make those best informed bets possible. You can get all of today's best bets. Just head to betql.com, or even better, just download the BetQL app where you can claim a free 3-day trial today. Head to betql.com/news/923 the fan, where you can get a bunch of exclusive sportsbook offers.
All right, Daryl, I want to talk to you about your conversation with the mayor. You had a chance to catch it. What was it, Cleveland Sports Awards, or was that another day?
No, this was the big concert
Oh,
announcement.
the concert announcement that they could have done
It
as
could have been an email.
Yes. Yeah.
The
I mean, how bad is that?
Cleveland scene nailed it, man. Because Justin, the funny thing too is the next day, Justin Timberlake announces a tour date at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. That probably should have been a press conference, right? Because
I agree, it should have been, especially after Saturday Night Live this week.
Timberlake, but yeah, so it's going to be Billy Joel and Rod Stewart, September 13th at Cleveland Brown Stadium. So they had this big buildup, right? It was funny because the mayor was there. Obviously, the great folks from Live Nation that helped put on all these great events in Northeast Ohio.
Was Billy Joel there?
No, Billy Joel and Rod Stewart did not make it, but they had
that would have been a press conference worth going to.
They had some nice jerseys hanging in the lockers or whatever. But so yeah, I mean, and everyone, with the list of people there, everyone joked that their phones had been blowing up because everyone wanted to know what the big announcement was going to be, and it turns out the Piano Man, Billy Joel. It's going to be Billy Joel and Rod Stewart. So. Backstory, I have been trying to chase the mayor down for the longest time to get him on the record about the Brown Stadium situation, because he hasn't said very much publicly about it. It's been in spurts. I think Cleveland.com has had a comment or two from him, and maybe it might have been either Cleveland Magazine or Cleveland Scene might have had where he had said something. So I wanted to and he saw me. And this was my third crack at it, because the previous two times I swung and missed. He got out of there before I could get to him. So press conference is over, and that was the primary reason I went, aside from helping out our sister stations. Of those that don't know, Andy and I, of course, work for 92.3 The Fan. We have 98.5 WNCX, which is also the radio home of the Cleveland Browns.
NCX.
And then, of course, we have Q104 and Star 102 in our family of radio stations as well. So it was good that I went, got some stuff for those stations so that they could use in their programming, and, gave them the press conference audio. So whatever they wanted to use from that press conference, they could. So long story short, all done. And I'm trying to find the mayor, and I get nervous because I think that he snuck out on me again. Right. So then I see him head toward the door, and
you got him.
I sprinted across the room, and it was funny because a Browns employee joked with me that was the fastest they ever saw me move.
Ooh, that was your 40 time. You might be a defensive back for you now.
So I was able to get it. And if you saw the video that I posted online, you can tell that I am the last guy the mayor wants to be talking to in the video. You can just tell his eyes are everywhere. He's got will someone come save me from this a-hole? I
Nice.
Don't want to be here right now.
Good job, man. I'm proud of you. Okay, so what happened?
Basically, here's the thing. Things they don't seem to be moving right now. It seems to be they're kind of stuck in the mud, I think, is the way I'll describe things, right?
Okay.
Not a lot of momentum forward to either get a new stadium/dome built for the Browns, or to renovate the existing one. And so I wanted to, to soften the mayor up. I asked him about the concert, and for those kind of getting into business, little interview 101, when they tell you got 2 minutes, you really do have 2 minutes. That's number one. But number two, never hit them with the question you want to ask right out of the gate.
Right.
Always soften them up. Throw them a softball. That's a running joke in our business. Oh, you just lob them. You want to do that, loosen them up, make them comfortable, get them talking, and then you hit them with the question that you really want to ask. So he was real happy to talk about, getting another concert into the stadium. And I said, well, hey, since we're here, the future of this building is what everyone wants to talk about right now, and what's going to happen to this place, because quite frankly, the clock is ticking. Like, y'all need to get it together here. And he was very matter of fact. He said, my goal, and I'm paraphrasing here, but his message was that as mayor, his goal is to keep the Browns on the lakefront in that building. Did not really seem to want to engage in any conversation about building something new somewhere else. Now, not to say that that's not on the back burner, because I can tell you over at 76 Lou Groza Boulevard, it's on the back burner. It has been talked about. They have thought about it. But right
Okay, so
now,
Daryl, I just want to make sure it's on the back burner that they could possibly be playing in a stadium that is not on the lakefront. That's exactly what you're saying.
possibly. But as we have this conversation right now, it's a very slim possibility. But the point is, they've had the conversation, and they should have the conversation, because that's kind of part of the process you go through here. Now, I have been very out front and saying they ought to get the hell off the lake. Let that be city developed land and a beautiful landscape and development for people to enjoy, and not have a football stadium in the middle of all that stuff, right? It's just that stadium feels out of place. Let's get it out of there, put it in a better spot that you can get to. Out by the airport would be fantastic. Also, because that's like 2 minutes from my house. But I just believe that a new stadium would serve the team better in the short term as well as the long term, because the current stadium was built half-assed. It was built on a fast track. It wasn't built right. It wasn't built well. And so now you're having to go back and correct all these things. The service level of the stadium. Well, it only runs from the northeast end of the stadium. Okay, the northeast end of the dog pound wraps around down to the southwest end of the stadium. But the entire southwest over to southeast and going up to actually, more so northeast part of the stadium, that there's no service level there.
There's nothing under the dog pound, is what you're trying to say.
No. And there's nothing on the south side either. So they have to excavate and underpin all that so they can get that 360-degree service level.
Wow, you're right. I never really thought about it. Yeah, what were they thinking when they built the stadium that there was no service levels under
They
there?
were thinking money. It was cheaper to do it this way.
Wow, that was silly. I mean, there really wasn't a whole lot.
Right. And so
it's a tunnel. I mean, really all it is a tunnel.
Well, it's a little more than that. But so now they want to excavate all that, underpin it, and so they can add more clubs, expand the locker room spaces, and things like, because they don't have the room for any of that. And now in today's media age, like I remember when Amazon came for the Prime game, I was told they had like 45 cameras for that game. They came in like on a Sunday afternoon, and they were still setting up for that game on Thursday afternoon, and it aired Thursday night. That's how in-depth that Amazon.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty typical for a big league production.
I understand that, but all the trucks had to be outside.
Oh, they're all out there right behind the stadium. There's nowhere to park them.
There's nowhere to put them in the stadium. Now, they do have TV trucks that come into that service tunnel there on the north side of the stadium, and they'll park in there or whatever, but all the overflow has to be outside. So there are constraints on the service level, first and foremost. There are changes that the Browns would like to make to the seating bowl, which requires engineering and reconfigurations and things like that. There's clubs that they want to add. All these, you see these field level clubs. They've tried to add them in the visitors tunnel and in the Browns tunnel there. But we're talking, how they added the field seating this past year? They got permission to add an additional row of seats. The one area I don't like that they did that was in front of the dog pound. I think that I think Joe Schmo fan, diehard Browns fan, should always have front row in the dog pound and not someone that paid $10,000 to $20,000 for a front row ticket in the dog pound. Because I think it's just special that, the tradition in Cleveland is when you score on that end of the stadium, you jump in, because you're not supposed to jump in. That's actually grandfathered in. Lambeau Leap is grandfathered in, and the dog pound jumps are, because the league doesn't want
two teams in the NFL that are allowed to do it.
Like, the league doesn't want players jumping into the stands.
I get it. I understand it.
But so there's so many things that have to be done to that stadium just to modernize it and make it work in the modern environment today that cost a lot of money. But it's a city building. So that was the second question I asked him about. Like, hey, is there a thought to make this a regional facility instead of it being owned by the city of Cleveland and it's tough cookies? You own it. It's your building. You're responsible for it. And
did you get an answer?
Yeah. He said they're trying to get the state and the county involved in this project, and
maybe that's good.
And make this a regional partnership. But you're talking in excess, Andy, of $1 billion to do this.
Oh, for sure.
Just to fix this thing. Now, granted, a new stadium's $2 billion for the cheapo version, right? The new modern version of Cleveland Brown Stadium.
And is that without a roof or with a roof?
It is with a roof, but it's like bare bones roof. You know what I mean? Like, it's like,
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? Now, if you want the stadium with some bells and whistles in it, well, you're talking about $2.5 billion. If you'd like the roof to come off and have the flexibility to go dome and no dome, now you're talking upwards of $3 billion. And also keep in mind too, like, construction costs are blowing up. So it was good to get the mayor on the record. His position is he's focused on the lakefront project. David Gilbert, our good friend, is involved in the lakefront development project. He is, part of the council, the committee, whatever the thing is. He's got his hand. God love him. I don't know how he does it. He's got the Cleveland Sports Commission. He's got Destination Cleveland. He's got a bunch of other projects, and now he's adding this lakefront development that the city of Cleveland wants to do down there to his portfolio as well. So I've talked to him about it. We actually had him on the station with Jonathan Peterlin at the Cleveland Sports Awards. And yeah, I mean, it is going to be a tough conversation, and they're running out of time to have it. Like, if you build a new stadium, they basically, in my math, they need to have the stadium completed by opening day 2029, right?
Oh, that eliminates us from the 2028 Super Bowl.
Yeah, they need to basically have financing in place within the next 12 to 18 months. Because then once you have your money in place, you got to go site acquisition and remediation before you can even begin.
You're talking about moving, though. Again, you're talking about moving.
If you build brand new. So if you're going to build something new, time is short. Now, if you're totally committed to staying where you're at, which I think is the wrong decision, you got a little longer, because now you're looking at a Progressive Field style timeline where it's 2.5 years.
Oh, by the way, I want to ask you about that in a second about Progressive Field. Finish that timeline thought.
Yeah. So you've got probably then till the end of 2025, maybe into 2026, because there is no site acquisition and remediation and all that. It's a lot of the architectural work is being done behind the scenes, from what I understand, by the Browns anyway, because it's part of their presentations to the city and stuff of, okay, if we're staying in this building, this is what we do. What I would love to know, and I haven't been able to pin this down, I would love to know if the Browns have new stadium plans drawn. That's the one thing. That's the one. Like, again, it's something that they've talked about, that, hey, if we can't get this done, we might have to build something new. That's the one thing I've not been able to pin down, if the Browns have new stadium plans hidden in a drawer somewhere.
Interesting. All right. It's always game day in Cleveland. We got a lot more to talk about. It is always game day in Cleveland. He's Daryl Ruiter, and I am Andy Baskin. At least I still think I am. Yeah, I just checked your driver's license.
Did you check your driver's license, your name tag, your credential?
Sure. All right. A couple things we can talk about today. Maybe we can talk about in the next podcast too. I'm going to give you a little behind the scenes stuff on something that happened last week on Baskin and Phelps. You want that?
Sure.
We do that?
What did you want to ask me real quick? You want to ask me something about Progressive Field?
Oh, you took pictures of it.
Yeah,
I saw you had new pictures up there.
Yeah, it's coming along. The blue seats.
So here's my question. When I looked at your pictures and I saw that right field, that there are no more stands in the upper deck.
It's gone. It has been
It's gone.
cleared out, and it's the same way down the left field line now. The last 4 sections, you know where the Terrace Club was?
Yeah.
The last
Terrace
4
Club's gone.
sections, that's what they're doing in right field with the bars and the awnings and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They're doing the same thing down the left field line. It looks
Mhm.
really weird. You
Is
know
the
what I mean?
Terrace Club totally gone?
Yeah, and the Terrace Club's been taken out. That's going to be
Mm,
an open air thing that they're going to do. I don't know why, but that's what they're doing. The roof has been taken off the executive building of the Guardians. You can see in the windows every floor has been gutted down to the bare steel
okay.
because they're basically rebuilding that building from the shell.
Right.
They're going to add another floor to the top of it, but it's really weird. But I'll say this: as weird as the right field upper deck looks like now, it is an improvement over the Port of Cleveland crates, shipping crates that
Well,
used to
that's
be.
good. I'm good for that. Here's my question. Is it gonna affect balls going into the outfield?
I don't
Because
know.
to me, it was really windy this morning when I was walking in, and I was thinking about your pictures, and I was like,
A
man, if
lot,
you get a pretty good wind gust
a lot
from
more
the
wind's
east
going to
side
get through
going to the
that
west
seating bowl
side,
now. Yeah, a lot more wind's going to get through that seating bowl now. Because here's the other weird thing: is they're leaving the existing structural steel for the upper deck in place.
right?
Like it looks weird to me. I get why. I'm not criticizing them doing what they're doing, because the reality is the days of them getting 42,000 fans in that ballpark for every night, that's long gone, right?
Right.
The only time you're going to get that kind of a crowd if it's for postseason baseball. Um, All-Star game's not coming back here anytime soon because they just had one in, I think,
No, and
2019.
we had to change the name of the team to get it. So
Yeah.
will we have to change the name of the team
No,
again to get
they
it again?
dropped Wahoo first. They had to get rid of Wahoo. They traded Wahoo for the All-Star game, and then I think they changed. I don't know what they traded the team name for. Uh,
It'll be
but
interesting when they have new owners if they keep this name or not. I'm
yeah,
still keeping that in mind. I'm just curious if that
yeah.
maintains.
But the ballpark is going to be the blue. All the seats are going to be blue. But
Right.
for this upcoming season, it's basically from foul line to foul line in the lower
Blue.
deck will be blue, and then the rest of the seats will be green. So all the seats they took out and right down the left field line, Andy,
Mhm.
those are being put back in on the right field line where the shipping containers were.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Because those
Yeah.
containers they came in toward the
Mhm.
infield. So
Right.
those seats are being put back. But yeah, the concrete risers and all the seats, the last 4 sections above the Terrace Club on the left field line, and then the entire upper deck in the right field line, or in right field, I should say, all gone. And it's going to be wide open.
I wonder
Here's
how
another
many seats are they how many seats are they pulling out? Do you know?
the capacity is going to stay the same.
Okay.
And it's
Alright.
still going to be around
But
35,
does standing room count
36,000.
into the capacity then?
Yeah. But
Because they've added so much more standing room.
yeah, and that's what they're doing is the purpose behind this. And originally when they put the shipping containers in, their thought was, hey, we're going, we want to create social spaces for fans, right? They did that in lower deck in the left field corner, right field corner, those drink rails.
Yeah.
Um, and they did that behind home plate too. They put some drink rails behind home plate.
Well, they
Apparently,
gutted out all the jury box seats up there too to put
yeah,
another club in, yeah.
right. And apparently, kids today don't want chairs to watch a ball game. They want to stand around to watch a ball game. So the Guardians are adapting. So even though I say like the ballpark looks really weird with those sections taken out and the structural steel remaining, I'm not criticizing what they're doing because I get it. Like they did extensive studies on this stuff, and this is part of like what the Browns want to do too. Like, people I guess don't want to sit in chairs. The Cavaliers did this to a degree at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse too. Like, I guess people don't want to sit at chairs in sporting events all the time. They want to be able to get up and walk around and congregate and hang out and drink their booze and stuff like that. So, you're adapting your ballparks and your arenas and your stadiums to suit that type of an environment. So I'm
Sure.
curious what the ballpark's going to look like and how it's going to play when it's all said and done. There's going to be some more LED screens on the outside of the park added. That's going through the Cleveland City Planning Commission phases right now. There's going to be new lighting. So when the ballpark is lit up at night from the exterior, it's going to
Mhm.
be team colors lighting. It's not just going to be white lighting. It's going to be red and blue Guardians red and blue lighting. They're gonna put in state of the art LED systems and stuff. So it'll be good when it's all done. But the players will be real happy in what is this 2024. In 2025, they're going to be really happy because they get a new clubhouse. The entire service level is getting gutted and rebuilt next season, and that'll be new.
Are they moving to the third base side then?
No, they're staying on the third base side. They thought about moving to the first base side because there's more room on that space to right. Their team facilities and that, but they figured out a way where they can take the visiting clubhouse, slide it down the right field line where like the concessionaire is. The concessionaire now has been moved to East 9th Street. They're closing it. That open space between the ramp and the stairwell on East 9th?
Yeah.
That's now all being closed in, and that's where the concessionaire is going to be. So now they're going to take the visiting clubhouse on the first base side, move it down the right field line, not like, Wrigley Field.
Without moving the dugout.
Right, without moving the dugout. Mm-hmm. And then the Guardians can have their expanded clubhouse and team service spaces while maintaining the clubhouse on the third.
Yeah, because I don't think a lot of people know this. On the visitor side, there is an auxiliary clubhouse that a lot of the staff uses sometimes, or at least the staff was using because they never really needed it. And I'm sure that if they had if they had high school teams coming in or something like that, that they could use that clubhouse or whatever. And then I'm gathering that the press conference room is probably going to be gone too, don't you think?
Well, we have a press conference room. They made a new one.
Well, yeah, but I mean, they had the giant press conference.
Oh yeah, that's going to go away. Yeah,
the small press conference room was.
It used to be like
an elliptical area, or not. It used to be like a yoga area with all kinds of mirrors and stuff on.
I do miss the days where we used to go in and we just walk into the manager's office and talk to him, and then walk across the hall to the clubhouse. I do miss.
It was just easy. It was easy, and then
now it's more formal. You go down, you go into the media room. They bring the stars of the game in sometimes before, sometimes after the manager or whatever. And then when you're done in there, you go down to the clubhouse and get whatever other additional.
All four people that are still there.
What other color you need.
Daryl, I'm going to save my behind-the-scenes story.
Oh no, I got to know. No. We got to hear it now. Let's go.
No, absolutely not. No, we don't have time.
Oh, come on. We got to do a little.
Yeah, I'll give you a little tease. It has to do with Ed Kelsey, and I mean, I don't want to tell the story in like 1 minute. So it's the byproduct of doing a story with Ed Kelsey and watching it blow up all over the place. So I'll save that one. And then getting ripped in a pretty big national paper. We didn't get crushed, but
you went viral.
There was a headline that ripped us pretty good. So
you joined me in going viral for all the right reasons.
Yeah, this wasn't. It's okay. Like I asked a question that went viral that was really awesome. That turned out to be great. Jeff asked a question that some people aren't looking at the right way, and I'll explain that on the next one. So. We'll do that in the next edition of It's Always Game Day in Cleveland. He's Daryl Ruiter. For our producer, our amazing producer, Meredith Kane, thank you very much. It is always game day in Cleveland.